Well, hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Back again. Another Jeep project, getting back on it here. And what this one is, this is the front bumper that came off of the CJ. True's Project CJ over there, long-term project. That one's going to get a whole frame. This thing was actually a bumper for a JK, so it didn't quite fit on the CJ, but the previous owner just had it laying around and threw it on. It looked like the CJ7 was going to try and take off. Um, it looked like wings. So we threw it on here. Now the problem with a JK bumper on a Gladiator or a JL is the frame horns on this are a little bit shorter. So as you'll notice here, it's almost about to rub on the front grille. And that means there is no room here for this winch. So Deviate, I normally don't do much with their products, but Deviate makes a JK to JL JT conversion kit adapter essentially, and it's just basically an extended plate for the frame horns. I've got that on the way. We're going to move this out. I'm going to mount the winch in here. It's just as so, and we'll get that mounted up, get our fair lead mounted on the front here. And the problem though is our kill switch. So let me go in first. I'm gonna test crimp my ends and make sure I got the right tool and go from there. Sure wish I had some no-ox right now. I might end up coming back and redoing this, so I better leave the cables a little bit long, just in case. Nice solid. Not the prettiest, not the ugliest. Check out this knife my sister got me. Pretty cool, huh? See if I can get a little closer, see if it'll focus. Okay. Time to go plan out the cable routing, conductor routing section. I've got a hot leg, which is actually going to go to a kill switch. So that's my positive. And then I've got a negative here, my ground cable. So this one's going to go straight to the winch. Okay, here it is. This is the Smittybilt XRC 9500 winch. I believe they've actually changed a little bit since this one. This one's an older one. I got it off of a friend who his daughter's Jeep caught fire. And I believe it was actually the power cable for this thing that went to ground and started the fire. The cables are pretty melted, and that's where the fire appears to have started from what I can see. So it's always been on my mind that I need to have kill switches or fuses or a circuit breaker in line, which on my TJ I don't. It's direct wired, which, you know, that's how a lot of Jeeps catch fire. So after this, I got this off of him at a price we could both agree upon, actually. I wanted to give him more than he would take. I also bought, for both of our Jeeps, shut-off switches. So they'll both be shut off, no power beyond that first little span of wire. which should prevent problems. But this is it. It is a 9500, which isn't really what we want for the Gladiator. That's what I've got on my TJ, and maybe eventually, if this thing runs well, maybe eventually I'll swap this to my TJ and get her the new Apex 12,000 pound winch from Harbor Freight. They're getting rave reviews everywhere. For now, though, it is a winch to put on the front of Jen's Jeep in case we end up in a spot where we might need it. We do have snatch blocks and extra rigging shackles and stuff, so we can double the pulling power if we need to, as long as we don't need to pull too far. So this is it. I'm going to go out and let me show you. I need to figure out where this shutoff switch is actually going to be. So I actually tried this first spot. I caught a video of it because I was trying to see if the hood would press down too hard, and I couldn't. Once it got low enough, I couldn't really see in. So here's that failed attempt, and I've got another spot. It's about the only other spot in here. Let me go show you. So here's that kill switch. I don't remember what it was rated at. It was like 50 or 100 amps or something. On, off, and this was UL rated. So hopefully it's good enough for what I need. I was trying to find somewhere in here to mount it. They just don't leave a lot of room in these engine compartments. I could probably find somewhere over on the passenger side, but that leaves a whole bunch of cable exposed to that fire hazard. I wanted it over here as close to the battery as possible. There's not really a ton of room, so I was hoping maybe I could mount it on here, then I could just pull the lid off, you know, but it doesn't work. When the hood comes down, the insulation actually pushes pretty hard on it. It might work. I'm not comfortable with the insulation pushing that hard. Possibly, if I mounted it over here, maybe I should try that spot. The only other thing I was able to come up with is on the air intake here. Mount it right here. That gives me actually pretty easy access to drill some holes through and mount it. I would only be able to mount 2, maybe 3 of the screws because of, you know, the size of it. But other than that, I mean, it might work. I think this is where she's going to end up. Now, I don't think you guys have seen Jen's Gladiator since our most recent upgrade. She's grown a little bit. Sitting on 35s now with Mickey Thompson wheels. There's some Toyos that I got used. The Mickey Thompsons I got used. Honestly, this full set, I was able to find these used off of a Wrangler. And the tires used, I don't think they were even on a Jeep. They were on a truck or something. So all in all, they've got fairly good tread. They're not the type of tire I specifically wanted, but for the price, you couldn't beat it. I got the wheels and tires cheaper than I could have gotten the tires I really wanted. So eventually we will upgrade to the Falcons. But that's the newest upgrade. She's got a bit of a stance now. I mean, looking pretty good if you ask me. Well, I'm pretty terrible about filming my work. It took me a while to figure out where the lines were going to run. Let me flip this around and I'll show you what I ended up figuring out. So the lines are going to come in here. This box is going to mount straight on here, and this is my switch. And it'll mount like that. I've got that pre-drilled, but the connections are on the back. Now they run down through here, follow some other power lines. I'll zip tie it in place and end up coming out. I left myself extra because, as I said, this bumper is going to still come out. Plus, I want to be able to pull the bumper off easily, set it on stands when I want to work on it, then disconnect the cables if I have to. So the next step is getting these ends made up, getting this positive cut to length to go in there, and then another one to go around and hit my power cable. But other than that, we'll wait for the frame horn brackets tomorrow. The only thing that's left would be there are a couple bad connections on the winch itself, so we'll get those fixed up too. You see that tiny little nut? I just finished getting 4 of them up in there. The worst one being right down against the hard plastic here. That one was pretty tough too. Got it all screwed down. They are lock nuts, so it was, you know, not like they just spin on or anything. Got that all done, and then I realized I forgot the base plate. Had to take it all back off. I'm an idiot. Okay, I don't want to install the winch quite yet because I do still have to move this bumper out, and that's just going to be extra weight I have to deal with. But I do want to get the wiring in here finished up. So I'll show you what I've got so far. This is actually going to be run a little better. That's just a little extra shield. Sorry about the traffic noise. That's just a little extra shield. If I ever see red showing through, then I know I've got an issue. But it's going to go down. It's actually going to run through this clip here, and then it'll come up and mount onto this. I've got a spare one right there. But I want to verify before I hook this up, because I'd like to be done in here. I want to verify before I hook this power cable up to the positive that this is actually working. So I've got my continuity tester, my multimeter voltmeter, set to continuity. I've got it connected there. I have verified that it's working. So right now, no continuity. I'm going to touch to the ground. And by that, with this off, I shouldn't get anything. But if I flip this on, then I'll have continuity, which I do. So my kill switch is working. I'm going to hook this up because I intend to have the winch installed by the end of the weekend. The Jeep's not really planning to go anywhere before then. And final product of the wiring before I close her up. Got red coming out. Just threw a little black tape on there because there was some exposed, and I'm a lineman. Black tape is what we do. Electrical tape. Comes up, like I said, through that clip. Comes through here. There's plenty extra. Comes up to there. That came out at such an angle I couldn't do anything but have extra, but I kind of wanted extra in case I ever needed to repair. This will be de-energized most of the time and inspectable before flipping the switch on. Then it goes under, goes down through here, and up through here. All tied into place. Have it taped there for now in case I do need to go anywhere. The switch is off, but I've also black taped entirely, covered up the hot leg there. So we should be good if anything were to happen. You know, I'm not a professional auto mechanic. I'm not a professional Jeep builder. If you have better ways to do it, cool. Tell me so I can do better next time. But I'm pretty happy with this. Onto the winch. Okay, so the DV8 adapter brackets are here. They came with grade 10.9 bolts, which is like the metric equivalent of grade 8, I believe. And then they have two sides to them. One side has the elongated holes and that gap, and then one side has just round holes. Not quite sure until I get the bumper off which side needs to be which, but I'll check that out. And let's get started by pulling off the bumper. If you're taking off a stock bumper, it's much more of a pain in the butt because you got skid plates and all sorts of stuff to mess with. But if you're taking off one that's already on there, two bolts you can get to in through here. Two nuts actually right there. And then two inside the winch plate here on this bumper, at least, right down there. Down two of each side, so 8 I've got to take off. I imagine that changes a little bit as far as their placement within the bumper based on what bumper you have, but for this one with the inset winch plate, that's how it works. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. It's on. Winch is out. I'm gonna flip this around and show you. I did have ordered a winch cover for it. I'm not sure with this mount being inset and as tight as it is that we'll actually be able to use the winch cover, honestly. So maybe this winch ends up being sacrificed in a year or two. I don't know. It was $50. But we've got it. We've got the kill switch. Flip that on. And we'll run it out. And then and that's that. I'll wind that up the rest of the way. I've got a couple clevises that I'll hang underneath because this bumper does have mounts. Those are actually bolted right to the winch plate, so bolted on with all 4 bolts and lots of steel holding that on. We'll see. You know, I'm sure there are better setups. I know there are better setups, but this is actually pretty good for us. We like it. And now we have a winch. Thanks for watching, y'all. The Lord bless you and keep you.